Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on two horses blowing up the king's position. It is also number 7 in the series The Knight Rules. I found a very nice game where the knight plays a very important role. Actually, both knights do. And I got this game from this book, Het Paard, written by international master Hans Beum and grandmaster in study composition Johanan Afek. Het paard means the horse in the Dutch language, because in Dutch the knight is a horse. It looks like a horse as well, doesn't it? It doesn't really look like a knight. But that doesn't really matter. The knight, we all love the knight, the favorite piece of former world champion Viswanathan Anand. The game I will show you was played in Budapest, the capital of Hungary, in the spring tournament in 1993. It was round 6. White was the Hungarian grandmaster Zoltán Varga with a rating of 2450, and black was Sándor Kusztár, also from Hungary. His rating at the time was 2310, which is about FIDE master level. Let's see what happened in this game. c4 from white and c5 was the answer. English opening, knight f3, knight f6, and here knight c3 is the main move. But white chose a sideline with d4. That pawn was taken, knight takes back, and here e5 is the main move, after which the knight goes to b5. But b6 was played by black instead of e5. Developing the knight, developing the bishop, and here f3 is the main move. After d6, white is going to get a very strong, impressive center with e4. But in the game, bishop g5 was played instead of f3. e6, knight d to b5, eyeing up the nice square on d6. So d6 was played to avoid that. Now black has the d6 square under control. And e4, and suddenly we have a Maroczy bind position, which normally comes from the Sicilian opening. So in English has transferred into a Sicilian. These two pawns on c4 and e4 are providing the bind. a6, kicking the knight, and here white decided to take on f6 to ruin black's pawn structure, because he cannot take back with the queen, because then there is knight c7 check with a fork, and that wins an exchange for white. King d7, then you take the rook in the corner and you have won an exchange. So after bishop takes f6, black had to take back with the g-pawn. Knight back to d4, knight d7 developing, and the queen comes to h5. Queen e7, bishop e2 finishing development, and rook c8. Here white castled, and an important motif in this position is that the black king is still in the middle and will very likely stay there. Black does not want to castle kingside with his broken pawn structure and white's queen on h5. Black played rook c5, attacking white's queen. Queen dropped back, bishop g7, white centralized the rook, and here you can castle, but then f4, and white is going to start a very strong attack. So black decided against that and played knight to e5. Attacking the pawn on c4 now with 2 pieces. So b3 was played, protecting the pawn. Knight back to c6, challenging this strong knight on d4. And now the magic starts. The magic of the horses, the magic of the knights. Knight c3 to d5. What a move. Sacrificing a piece. Black didn't take it. If you take it, then there is knight f5. And white has a very strong attack. The engine gives the strongest defense, which is bishop c8, ignoring the attack on the queen, because now it is attacking the queen as well through the knight. White is slightly better, has compensation for the piece, but this is maybe what black should have gone for. Instead, he decided not to take the piece. He did not want his pawn structure to be shattered with his king in the middle. He dropped back with his queen, which is attacked to d8. And that's not a good move. Because now the other knight comes into action. Knight takes e6. White really wants to break down that pawn structure in front of black's uncastled king. This one you have to take. There's all sorts of stuff hanging. Those knights are amazing. So you have to take. Queen takes and king f8. Bishop h5. Threatening a checkmate on f7. White is bringing another piece into the attack. Knight e5 to protect the f7 square. And here knight takes b6, picking up a third pawn for the piece, but much more importantly, threatening knight d7 in some variations, and we'll see an example of that. You cannot take the knight. Queen takes b6 is mate in 1 on e8. A variation given in the book that I showed you, the book where I found this game in, is that rook c6 is also not working for black because of rook d5, very strong move, threatening to take on e5, and that knight is very important because it protects the f7 square. You cannot take on b6 with the rook because then there is rook takes e5, and as said you cannot recapture because of the checkmate. So the variation in the book continues as follows. After rook d5, queen e7 is then played by black. Rook takes e5, very nice move, protecting the queen. Queen takes, rook takes, and now the book says you cannot take on b6 because there is a checkmate on e8. So because you cannot take on b6, white is just 3 pawns up in this position. And not only that, look at the pieces. White's pieces are so much better than black's. Totally winning position for white. So back to where we were. We took on b6, picking up a third pawn, and we saw that queen takes b6 does not work. We saw that rook c6 does not work. Queen e7 was played by Kustar, attacking white's queen, which is unprotected, but rook takes d6, picks up another pawn, brings the rook into the attack, and protects the queen. Nice move. Here you have to swap the queens. This is threatening rook e8 mate. So king g8, rook e8 check, bishop f8 and f4, and white is winning. There really is nothing better after rook takes d6. White has a winning position, but black blundered here. Often in bad positions, bad moves come along automatically. He took on e4 and is now losing by force. There's a very nice checkmate in the position. Not easy to find, and white did not find it. Knight c8 leads to checkmate in a few moves. Beautiful move. It's attacking black's queen. And after queen takes e6, there is rook d8 check. You're not even bothering taking back the queen. The queen has to interpose, and this is checkmate. Nice variation. But after bishop takes e4, white did not find the move knight c8. That would have been the ultimate knight rules game. He played f4. That is good enough. White is still winning. Black must have been demoralized. He played rook c6, a bad one, and had to resign after that rook was just taken off the board. You cannot take back with the knight, because then there is another wonderful knight move, knight d7 check. You have only one legal move you have to take, which costs you your queen. Bishop g6, for example. Bishop takes, h takes, queen takes knight, and as we see that white now has a queen for the bishop, this is another position you will play on. After rook takes c6, you can also not take back with the bishop, because then there is queen c8 check. Beautiful move. If you interpose, then f takes e5, and this is a position with equal pieces. White has 3 extra pawns, but just look at black's pieces. This rook is not playing, the bishop is not playing, the pawn is pinned, this bishop is only there to cover the check, and the queen is also helpless, and look at white's pieces, they are all beautiful. You can't even take that pawn, because then there is a knight fork, which will cost you your queen, and the bishop cannot take because it's pinned. So after rook takes c6, black had enough and resigned this game. And Zoltán Varga had won a beautiful game with some exquisite knight moves. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget about our game, Rick against the Chess to Impress viewers. It is your move. Let's put a position on the board. We are at move 15. You took on d5 and you played queen e7. I dropped back with the knight. You played a6 and I played a4, and it is your move. What would you play here on move 15 with black? You can take part in this game by putting your move underneath this video in the comment section. By doing that, you will be in the raffle for a chess book. At the end of the game, I will raffle a chess book made available by my sponsor, The Beste Zet, a web shop for chess books. But apart from the raffle, it would be great if you could get involved in this game. It's a very rich position, complicated game, and I hope you will take part in it by submitting your 15th move for black. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. It would be great if you liked the video, that you would share the video on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. The playlist of this Pieces Rules series is in the description box underneath this video. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter and also on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.